My name is Ashley Anderson. I'm 28 years old. And the first thing you should know about me is that I used to believe betrayal was loud, explosive, messy, the kind of thing that crashes into your life so violently that even if it destroys you, you can still point to the exact moment it happened and say, there, that's when everything ended. I was wrong. The worst kind of betrayal doesn't announce itself. It doesn't scream, it doesn't slam doors, it doesn't even look guilty. It sits across from you at the dinner table, smiles, asks if you want more wine, and quietly rewrites your entire life behind your back. Right now, I'm lying in a hospital bed. My jaw is fractured, 3 ribs are broken. Every breath feels like punishment. And the person who did this to me, my sister, Jessica Anderson, she put me here. And the worst part, I deserved it. But this story doesn't start with the punch that shattered my face. It starts with something much smaller, something quieter, a smile, a glance, a choice. 6 months ago, my sister asked her husband to come fix my kitchen sink. That's how it started. Jessica has always been like that. Helpful, reliable, the kind of person who shows up for everyone, especially me. Her disaster of a younger sister. I'd always been the opposite. The fun one. The pretty one. The one who got away with things. While Jessica built a life, marriage, kids, routines, I floated. Job to job, apartment to apartment, relationship to relationship. And somehow, I always landed on my feet, because I always got what I wanted. That day, Ryan showed up at my apartment with a toolbox and that easy smile. He stayed for 3 hours. The sink didn't take that long to fix. We talked, laughed, and I noticed the way he looked at me, like I was interesting, exciting, different from the life he'd built with my sister. I told myself it was harmless. Just flirting. Just a little attention. But harmless things don't stay harmless when you feed them. One kiss turned into one night. One night turned into 6 months of hotel rooms, late-night texts, and carefully constructed lies. And the whole time I told myself a story. That Jessica had it too easy. That she didn't appreciate what she had. That maybe, just maybe, I deserved it more. I ignored everything I didn't want to see. The way Ryan talked about her, like she was a burden. The way he barely mentioned his daughters. The way he canceled on me whenever something in his real life demanded his attention. I told myself we had something real. That eventually, he'd choose me. God, I was such an idiot. It all came crashing down on a Sunday. Family dinner at our parents' house. The kind of evening that used to feel safe, comfortable, normal. Jessica sat across from me, calm, composed. But there was something in her eyes I didn't recognize. Sharp, focused, like she already knew the answer and just needed to hear me say it. Ashley, she said, setting her fork down carefully, is something going on between you and Ryan? The room went still. Our parents, our aunt, our grandmother, everyone waiting. Ryan sat next to her. I could feel the tension in him. The fear. This was the moment where I could have lied. Should have lied. Could have saved something. Anything. But I didn't, because I was still high on it. The thrill. The power. The idea that I had taken something that wasn't mine and gotten away with it. So I smiled, and I said it. You know, I always get what I want. Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. Jessica stood up slowly. Say that again. Her voice was quiet. Too quiet. And suddenly, the high started to fade. Jess, I didn't mean, you're sleeping with my husband. Not a question. A statement. Ryan shifted beside her. Jessica, She held up her hand. Didn't even look at him. Her eyes stayed locked on me. How long? It's not what you think. How long have you been sleeping with my husband? I'd never heard her curse before. Never seen her like this. Our mother made a small, shocked sound. Our father stood up halfway from his chair. 6 months, Ryan said. Just like that. The coward. Trying to get ahead of it. Trying to save himself. But it didn't mean anything, he added quickly. She came on to me. I felt something inside me crack. Not guilt. Not yet. Something colder. Realization. He was throwing me away. Right there. In front of everyone. She came on to you, Jessica repeated softly. Still calm. Still terrifying. For 6 months? I made a mistake, Ryan said. You made a choice. She turned back to me. You both did. Her voice broke then. Just slightly. You looked at my life, my husband, my family, and you decided you wanted it. Tears filled her eyes, but they didn't fall. Just like when we were kids, she said. You took my toys, my clothes, my friends. Her voice hardened. But this time, you took the wrong thing. I'm sorry, I said. And for the first time, I meant it. The high was gone. Completely. All that was left was the weight of what I'd done. You're not sorry, she said. You're sorry you got caught. She grabbed her purse. Girls, she called. Her daughters came running from the other room. Confused. Scared. Mommy, what's wrong? Jessica took their hands. We're leaving. Ryan grabbed her arm. Jessica, please, we need to talk about this. She jerked away like he burned her. Don't touch me. Daddy? Her oldest whispered. Ryan looked like his world was collapsing. And maybe it was. Baby, he said weakly. Daddy made a mistake. We're leaving, Jessica repeated. Our father finally spoke. Jessica, wait, let's all calm down. Calm down, she snapped, her voice rising for the first time. Talk about what, Dad? How my sister has been sleeping with my husband for half a year? Silence again. Thicker this time. More final. Everyone in this room is going to tell me to forgive her, she continued. Because that's what we do, right? No one answered. Because it was true. I had always been forgiven. Always been protected. Always given another chance. She's your sister, our mother said weakly. And he's my husband, Jessica shot back. Her eyes moved between us. They didn't care about that when they were sneaking around behind my back. Then she looked at me one last time. Cold. Final. You always get what you want, she said. Fine. You can have him. Her lips trembled. You can have the man who cheats on his wife with her own sister. You can have the guy who just threw you under the bus to save himself. A pause. Sharp as glass. You won. Then, quietly. Congratulations. And just like that, she walked out of my life. I thought the aftermath would be loud. Explosive. That Jessica would call me screaming, that my phone would light up with messages, that something, anything, would happen to fill the silence I'd created. But nothing came, just silence. And somehow that was worse. The first night, I sat on my couch, staring at my phone, waiting. For anger, for rage, for something I could respond to. But Jessica didn't call. She didn't text. She didn't show up. It was like she had already erased me. By the second day, the silence started to crawl under my skin. I checked social media obsessively. Nothing. No posts, no indirect messages, no signs of life. Just absence. And for the first time, I realized something I hadn't considered before. Jessica wasn't reacting. She was removing me. Completely. On the third day, there was a knock on my door. For a split second, my heart jumped. Jessica! It had to be. But when I opened it, it was Ryan, standing there like nothing had changed. Like he hadn't detonated my entire life and walked away untouched. I stepped aside automatically. Come in. He walked past me, glancing around my apartment like he'd never really seen it before, which I guess he hadn't. Not as anything more than a place to escape to. I closed the door behind him, and for one stupid, fragile moment, I thought, this is it. He's here to say it mattered. That we mattered. That now that everything's out in the open, we could finally be together. You need to fix this, he said. Just like that. No softness. No hesitation. What? You need to tell Jessica you lied. The words didn't even make sense at first. They're going to take everything from me, he continued, running a hand through his hair. The kids, the house. She's already talking about divorce. I stared at him. You want me to say, none of it happened? Yes. Like it was obvious. Like it was reasonable. Ryan, she knows. Then say you were drunk, that it only happened once, that you manipulated me. I don't care. He stepped closer. Desperate now. Just make it so she doesn't leave me. There it was. Not us. Not love. Not regret. Just survival. You don't even care about me, I said quietly. It wasn't a question. His expression shifted. Not guilty. Just annoyed. Care about you? He repeated. Ashley, you're 28 years old, living in a studio apartment, working retail. Each word landed like a slap. What did you think this was? My chest tightened. I thought, you thought wrong, he cut in. I was bored. Jessica's been distant since the second kid. You were there. You were easy. Easy. The word echoed in my head like something breaking. I'm not losing my family for you, he added flatly. And just like that, 6 months of lies, stolen moments, whispered promises, reduced to nothing. He walked out. Didn't even look back. The door clicked shut behind him. And I stood there, in the quiet, finally seeing everything clearly. I had destroyed my sister's life. For a man who didn't even think I was worth choosing. I should have stopped there. Should have accepted it. Should have taken the loss and tried, somehow, to salvage what little I had left. But I didn't, because humiliation has a way of turning into anger. And anger makes you reckless. 3 days later, Jessica finally called. Meet me, she said. No greeting. No warmth. Just an address. A coffee shop halfway across town. I need to talk to you. I went. Of course I went. But not because I was ready to apologize. Not because I wanted to fix things. I went armed. Defensive, still clinging to the last scraps of pride I had left. Jessica was already there when I arrived, sitting by the window, a cup of coffee in front of her, untouched. She looked different, not just tired, hollow, like something inside her had been scooped out and left empty. I sat across from her. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then, why? She asked. Her voice was quiet. But it wasn't the calm from before. This was something else, something fragile. Of all the men in the world, she continued, why him? Her eyes lifted to meet mine. Why my husband? And for a split second, I almost told the truth, that I was jealous, that I'd spent years comparing my chaotic, unstable life to her steady, happy one, that I wanted something she had, that I hated how easy she made it look, that I wanted to feel chosen, valued, special. I almost said it, but then I remembered Ryan, the way he'd looked at me, the word easy still ringing in my ears. And instead of vulnerability, I chose cruelty. Because I could, I said. I watched the words hit her, like a physical blow. Because he wanted me. Her fingers tightened around the coffee cup. And maybe, I added, leaning back slightly, if you'd been a better wife. I didn't finish the sentence. I didn't have to. The silence did it for me. Something in her eyes. Broke. Not cracked. Not fractured. Shattered. Completely. You're right, she said softly. Her voice didn't shake. Didn't rise. That was what made it worse. I wasn't enough. She nodded slowly, like she was agreeing with something inside herself. I was too busy raising his children, keeping our house together, working full-time. Each word was steady, measured. I should have been more like you. A pause. Then, selfish. Another beat. Available. And finally, easy. The word landed harder than anything she could have shouted. She stood up. And in that moment, I realized something with absolute clarity. This wasn't a fight. This wasn't something we would recover from. I had just destroyed the last bridge between us. Stay away from my family, she said. Stay away from my kids. Her eyes locked onto mine. Cold. Unrecognizable. You don't exist to me anymore. Jessica. I mean it. Her voice cut through mine. You're dead to me. And then she walked away. Just like she had at dinner. Only this time, it felt final. I sat there for a long time after she left, staring at the empty chair across from me, trying to convince myself this wasn't real, that she'd calm down, that she'd call, that we'd fix it, because we always did. We were sisters. We had 28 years of history, of shared rooms, late-night talks, inside jokes. That didn't just disappear, except it did. I called her that night. Blocked. I tried again. Still blocked. I went to her house. The locks had been changed. Ryan's things were gone, boxed up on the front lawn like trash. I stood there staring at it, feeling something unfamiliar twist in my chest. Not guilt. Not yet. Fear. Real, cold fear. I tried talking to our parents. They need time, my mother said gently. Give her space. But space felt like a countdown. Like every second that passed was another nail sealing something shut. 2 weeks later, it became official. Jessica filed for divorce. Full custody. Adultery cited. With evidence. Texts. Hotel receipts. Proof I didn't even know she had. And just like that, what had been private became public. My phone exploded. Friends asking if it was true. Coworkers whispering. Family members calling, not to support, but to confirm. I lost 3 friends in one day. People who had known both of us. Who couldn't reconcile the person they thought I was, with what I'd done. I went to my parents' house to explain. To fix something. Anything. Jessica was already there, sitting at the table, with a lawyer. She's been harassing me, Jessica said calmly. I froze. What? Showing up at my house, calling from different numbers. That's not... Jess, I'm trying to apologize. I don't want your apology. Her voice didn't rise, didn't waver. I want you to leave me alone. She's your sister, our mother pleaded. You can work through this. No, Jessica said. Firm. Final. We can't. She looked at me, and there was nothing there. No anger. No sadness. Just absence. What she did isn't something you work through, she said. She made her choice. And that's when something inside me snapped. Because suddenly, I wasn't the one who did something unforgivable. I was the one being judged. Rejected. Erased. You're acting like I killed someone, I said. The words came out sharper than I intended. So I slept with your husband. Get over it. Silence. Heavy. Dangerous. Maybe if you weren't so boring, I added, the bitterness spilling over, he wouldn't have needed someone else. I saw it happen. The exact moment everything crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. My father stood up. Get out. My mother started crying. And Jessica just stared at me, with a kind of hatred so cold, I felt it in my bones. Get out of my parents' house, she said. It's my house too, I shot back. I grew up here. Get out. I didn't move. I was tired of being pushed out. Tired of being the villain. Tired of everyone acting like I was the only one who'd done something wrong. Jessica stepped toward me. I stood my ground. And then she hit me. Not a slap. A punch. Hard enough that the world tilted sideways. I stumbled back. Barely had time to react before she was on me. Fists. Shouting. Years of something buried deep inside her finally breaking free. You took everything from me, she screamed. My husband, my family, my trust. Pain exploded through my ribs as she kicked me. You act like it's nothing. Our father pulled her off. My ears were ringing. My mouth tasted like blood. And Jessica was sobbing. Broken. Shattered in a way I had never seen before. And for a split second, lying there on the floor, I understood. Not fully. Not enough. But more than I ever had before. I had done this. But instead of letting that realization settle, I made one more choice. The one that would make everything worse. I pressed charges. I told myself I did it because I was hurt. Because I was scared. Because no one gets to put their hands on me like that and walk away without consequences. That's what I said out loud. That's what I repeated when the police arrived. That's what I clung to while they took pictures of my face, my ribs, the bruises already blooming under my skin like something ugly finally surfacing. But the truth? The truth was uglier. I wanted her to hurt, the way I was hurting. I wanted her to feel powerless, humiliated, exposed. So when the officers asked if I wanted to press charges, I said yes, without hesitation. Jessica was arrested that night. I watched it happen. Watched as they led her out of the house in handcuffs. Her face pale, her eyes empty. Our mother was crying. Our father looked like something inside him had just given up. And I stood there, holding ice against my jaw, telling myself this was justice, that I deserved this, that she deserved this. But the moment the door closed behind her, something shifted. Not enough to stop me, just enough to haunt me later. She was released the same day. Of course she was. She had a lawyer, a good one, and a story that made mine look small. Temporary insanity, extreme emotional distress, provocation, words that sounded clinical, but translated into something simple. She snapped because of what you did. The preliminary hearing was set 2 weeks later. 2 weeks where everything unraveled faster than I could keep up with. The divorce went public first. Jessica filed. Full custody. Adultery cited. Not just adultery, adultery with her sister. The documents spread like wildfire. Texts I didn't know she had. Screenshots. Dates. Hotel receipts. Proof. Every lie I told, neatly packaged into evidence. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Friends. Coworkers. People I hadn't spoken to in years, suddenly very interested in my life. Is it true? Tell me this isn't real. How could you do that to her? I stopped answering, because there was nothing to say. I had done it. Every bit of it. I lost 3 friends in a single afternoon. Blocked. Unfollowed. Erased. The same way Jessica had erased me. Only this time, it wasn't just her. It was everyone. At work, it was worse. Whispers that stopped when I walked by. Conversations that didn't include me anymore. The look on my manager's face. Tight, uncomfortable, like I was something inconvenient she didn't know how to deal with. Someone had sent the court documents to the office. Of course they had. People love a scandal, especially when it's this ugly. Especially when it's someone they know. By the time the hearing came, I was already unraveling. But I still showed up, because at that point, backing down felt like losing the only control I had left. I walked into that courtroom with my injuries documented, my story rehearsed, my anger carefully sharpened into something I could present as righteousness. Jessica walked in with her lawyer, and something else, certainty. She didn't look at me, didn't acknowledge me, like I wasn't even there. The judge flipped through the files, slowly, deliberately, and I watched his expression change. Not shock, not confusion, judgment, clear, unfiltered. Miss Anderson, he said finally, looking directly at me, you are asking this court to prosecute your sister for assault. Yes, I said, my voice steady. After you engaged in a 6-month affair with her husband. The words landed heavier than I expected. But I didn't flinch. She attacked me. After you admitted, in front of witnesses, to sleeping with her husband, he glanced down at the paper again and blamed her for his infidelity. My throat tightened. You told her, he continued, and I quote, maybe if you weren't so boring, he wouldn't have needed someone else. Hearing it out loud, in that room, in front of strangers, it sounded different. Not justified, not defensive, cruel, ugly, small. For the first time, I heard myself the way everyone else did. The silence stretched. Then the judge leaned back slightly. The district attorney has agreed to drop charges, he said, in exchange for Miss Jessica Anderson agreeing to anger management counseling. A pause. And a restraining order. My stomach dropped. A restraining order? I repeated. Yes, you are to remain 500 feet away from your sister, her children, and her residence. 500 feet. That was the distance between me and everything I had ever known. I suggest you accept this, the judge added, because if this proceeds to trial, I don't believe the outcome will be in your favor. Translation. You won't win this. Not here. Not anywhere. I agreed. What choice did I have? The charges were dropped. Jessica walked out of that courtroom, free, and surrounded. My parents, my aunt, my cousins, even my grandmother, all standing with her. No one looked at me. Not one person. It was like I had already disappeared. 3 days later, I lost my job. My manager called me into her office. Didn't even try to soften it. "We've received complaints," she said carefully, "about your personal situation." I almost laughed. Personal. That it's creating a hostile work environment. Because apparently, being the woman who slept with her sister's husband was contagious. "We think it's best if you move on." Just like that. No warning. No second chance. I packed up my things in silence. No one said goodbye. Ryan, of course, had already moved on. Within a month. A new girlfriend. Some woman from his gym. He posted pictures of them smiling. Happy. Like nothing had ever happened. Like Jessica. Like me. Like the entire wreckage he left behind. Didn't exist. I tried calling him once. Blocked. Everywhere. Just like Jessica. Just like everyone. I was unemployed. Alone. And running out of time. My lease was up in 2 months. I couldn't afford it. Not without a job. I applied everywhere. Retail. Offices. Anything. Every interview started the same. Normal. Polite. Hopeful. Until they Googled my name. Then the shift. The subtle change in tone. The polite smile that didn't reach their eyes. "We'll be in touch." They never were. Eventually, I had no choice. I moved back in with my parents. At 28 years old. Back into my childhood bedroom. The same walls. The same bed. But nothing felt the same. My mother barely spoke to me. Short answers. Avoiding eye contact. My father didn't speak to me at all. Not even once. They let me stay. Because they had to. Because I was their daughter. But I could feel it. The distance. The disappointment. The quiet, unspoken truth hanging in every room. They didn't recognize me anymore. And maybe they didn't want to. I saw a post a few days later. Jessica. A photo of her and the girls. Smiling. Happy. The caption. "New chapter. Just us." And the worst part? She looked better. Lighter. Like cutting me out of her life. Had made everything easier. I tried reaching out. Wrote her a letter. Gave it to my mother. Asked her to pass it along. It came back. Unopened. I made a new account. Messaged her. Blocked again. I saw her once. At a grocery store. My heart started racing. I thought, this is it. I can talk to her. Fix something. Anything. I took a step toward her. She pulled out her phone. Calm. Precise. "I'm calling the police," she said. "Restraining order." I stopped. Frozen. Like I'd just run into an invisible wall. She didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't even look angry. Just distant. Like I was a stranger. Like I had always been a stranger. I walked away. Because there was nothing else I could do. Nothing left to say. Nothing left to fix. That was the moment it really sank in. Not the dinner. Not the fight. Not even the courtroom. This? Standing in a grocery store aisle. Watching my sister treat me like I didn't exist. That's when I understood. I hadn't just lost her. I had been erased. Completely. And there was no way back. The first place that didn't care who I used to be was a call center 2 towns over. Minimum wage, fluorescent lights, headsets that smelled faintly like other people's lives. But they didn't Google me. They didn't ask questions. They didn't care about Jessica, or Ryan, or the version of me that had destroyed everything. To them, I was just a voice on a line. "Thank you for calling. How can I help you today?" And for 8 hours a day, that was enough. It was the only place I could breathe. The only place where I wasn't her. Not the sister who slept with her sister's husband. Not the girl who got cut off from her entire family. Not the cautionary story people whispered about. Just a stranger. I took it. Because it was all I had left. But every day on my drive home, I passed the exit to Jessica's neighborhood. Every day. Same turn. Same road I used to take without thinking. Now I gripped the steering wheel tighter every time I saw it. Like if I looked too long, I might remember what it felt like to belong somewhere. I started therapy, not because I wanted to, because I couldn't afford not to, because there was a point where even I couldn't keep lying to myself anymore. Her name was Dr. Morgan. She didn't let me hide. Not once. "You keep calling them mistakes," she said during our 3rd session. They weren't mistakes. I looked down at my hands. They felt like it. "No," she said gently. "They were choices." That word again. Choices. Every time you answered his message, choice. Every time you met him, choice. Every time you sat across from your sister, knowing what you were doing behind her back. Her voice didn't rise, didn't accuse. It didn't have to. "Hey, choice." "I know," I whispered. "Do you?" Her eyes held mine. "Because you keep talking about what you lost. Your family, your job, your life." A pause. Like those things happened to you. The silence stretched. "You did this," she said softly. "You chose this." And for the first time, I didn't argue, because she was right. I had spent months acting like I was the victim, like I had been punished too harshly, like everyone had abandoned me. But the truth was, I had abandoned them first. I had looked at my sister's life and decided I wanted to tear it apart. The divorce was finalized in October. Jessica got everything. Full custody, the house, the stability. Ryan got supervised visitation because Jessica's lawyer proved he had brought me around the kids, exposed them to the affair. Even after everything, she still protected them, still did everything right. And me? I got nothing, not even closure. Ryan disappeared completely, blocked me everywhere, refused to acknowledge I existed. 6 months. That's all it took. 6 months to destroy everything for someone who couldn't even remember my name. I saw Jessica again at our grandmother's funeral. I stayed in the back, as far away as I legally could. 500 feet felt like miles. I watched from a distance. My family gathered around her, comforting her, holding her daughters as they cried, standing together, like a unit, like a family. And I sat alone in the last row. After the service, I waited, let everyone leave. I didn't want to cause a scene, didn't want to break the rules. I just needed a moment with my grandmother, with everything I had lost. I stood by the grave, crying quietly, for her, for my parents, for the version of my life that no longer existed. And then I felt it, that shift, that awareness that I wasn't alone. I turned. Jessica, she had come back. Maybe she forgot something. Maybe she just needed one last moment too. She froze when she saw me. I'm not violating the order, I said quickly. I was just leaving. She didn't move, didn't speak, just watched me. And for a second, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Not forgiveness, never that, but recognition, a memory of who I used to be. I'm sorry, I said. The words felt small, pathetic, but they were all I had. I know it doesn't matter. I know you'll never forgive me. I need you to know I'm sorry. My voice broke. I was selfish and cruel, and I destroyed the best thing in my life because I thought I deserved what you had. Silence. Then, you're right, she said. Quiet. It doesn't matter. Something inside me twisted. I miss you, I said. I miss the girls. I miss being part of something. Her expression didn't change. You made your choice. I know. A step forward. Instinct. Hope. I just thought maybe someday. There's no someday, Ashley. Her voice cut clean through the air. You didn't just sleep with my husband. Each word landed heavier than the last. You mocked me. You blamed me. You pressed charges when I broke. A pause. You showed me exactly who you are. Tears blurred my vision. People change. Maybe they do, she said. But I'll never know, because I won't be there to see it. She didn't say those words out loud. She didn't have to. You're not part of my life anymore. The final blow. You're not my sister. A breath. You're just someone I used to know. And then she turned, walked away. Just like that. No hesitation. No looking back. And I knew that was the last conversation we would ever have. I moved out of my parents' house 8 months later. A studio apartment. Small. Cheap. In a part of town no one chooses unless they have to. But it was mine. I worked. Came home. Slept. Repeated. No friends. No family. No one to call. No one to text. Just quiet. My mother died the following year. Heart attack. Sudden. Devastating. At the funeral, I sat with distant relatives. People who didn't know me well enough to hate me. Jessica sat at the front. With our father. With her daughters. With the family that mattered. I wasn't excluded. But I wasn't included either. I existed somewhere in between. A ghost at my own mother's funeral. 3 months later, my father died. I didn't find out from Jessica. I found out from a cousin. The funeral was the same. Me in the back. Jessica surrounded by everyone. Afterward, I learned about the will. Everything went to her. The house. The savings. Everything. There was a note. Ashley made her choices. Jessica was there when it mattered. I wanted to be angry. Wanted to say it wasn't fair. But it was. She had been there. Through everything. And I hadn't, because I was too ashamed. Too afraid. Too far gone. I'm 31 now. Still at the call center. Still in that apartment. I haven't been on a date in 2 years. Because every time I try, I have to explain. Why I don't talk to my family. Why I don't have friends. Why I'm starting over like I'm 22 again. And there's no way to tell that story without telling the truth. I saw her again last month. At a grocery store. She was with someone. A man. They were laughing. Her daughters were there too. Teenagers now. Beautiful. Happy. Whole. They looked like they had built something new. Out of everything I burned down. For a second, our eyes met. And I thought, maybe I'd see something. Recognition. Anger. Anything. But there was nothing. No warmth. No hatred. No memory. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Then she turned back to her life and kept walking, like I had never existed at all. I stood there in the cereal aisle, watching the life I could have had. If I had just been grateful, if I had understood that some things, once broken, don't come back. I sleep in a twin bed, in a quiet apartment, and sometimes when I wake up, there's a split second where I forget. Forget that I'm not invited to family dinners. Forget that my phone doesn't ring on holidays. Forget that my nieces don't know my name. And then I remember, and I have to live another day knowing, I did this. There's no redemption here. No lesson that fixes it. No ending that makes it okay. Just consequences. Permanent. Heavy. Unavoidable. If you're thinking about it, if you're looking at someone else's life and telling yourself you deserve it more, don't, because you might get what you want. For a moment. But you will lose everything that actually matters. I did. I traded my family for 6 months with a man who thought I was easy. Jessica moved on. Built something better. My parents died disappointed in me. My nieces don't know who I am. And me? I'm still here. Alone. Living with the weight of choices I can never undo. I always got what I wanted. Until I wanted something that mattered. And by then, it was already gone.